Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is the Mental Wellness channel with Waihiga. If you're new here, I hope that you stick around and take a listen to what I have to share. Today, I want to talk about this African American woman who was actually blasting Nigerians, but I think all Africans should listen to her message, and then we'll get into it.
All right. Hello, Knockouts. Tanya TKO here, and I'm in the middle of editing a video right now, but I just wanted to come out and make this video real quick. You know how you're multitasking and your brain is just rotating around and around on an idea. Recently I've been talking a lot about race relations on my channel, and some of the comments that I get are from Nigerians in Nigeria who talk about how if they were in America, all of the wonderful and amazing things that they would be able to do if they were in America. If I were in America, I would be rich, I would be famous, I would be this, I would be that, because you Black Americans are lazy, you Black Americans are this, you're that, you love thug culture. I just got a comment the other day, and I commented back to the person about their colonial mindset. It's another day, another Karen. So I'm constantly having to battle Caucasians on one hand, and then now I have to battle Africans on the other. And you all know, listen, I love my Nigerian people. I am genetically Nigerian and Ghanaian. I just spent dirty December and just won't go home January in Ghana and Nigeria. And there's a pervasive thought that I continue to see over and over and over again. And that idea is that somehow there's something defunct and wrong with African Americans just because our trauma is different than your trauma. And as I was editing this video, I realized, listen, the only reason why your Black ass would be able to come over to America and be able to do anything is because of the hard work, the blood, the sweat, the fighting, and the dedication of African Americans who on this soil changed this land. African Americans are the ones who got this country integrated. Let me explain something to you. White people in this country did not give us anything. We have had to take. And this is why you see what is going on in the news and the media right now. We took in the 1960s what it is that we had. We took their lynchings, their terrorizing, their burning down of our neighborhoods, and we continue to rebuild and rebuild and revisit and retwist and re-rise up what it is that we have done in this country. And the only reason why anybody can bring their Black ass over here from another country is because what Black Americans have done on this land. And I'm saying this as a person who is bicultural, whose father is not American, doggone it. My father is an immigrant, and he was able to come over to this country and do something in this country because of the Black people who fought, who died, who bled, who were lynched on this land. We have been given nothing. Everything that we have in this country, we have because we have taken. Listen to what it is that I'm saying. So don't sit your Black ass over there in your country where you're not doing what you need to do with your government. If anything, you should feel inspired by African Americans, inspired to pick up your picket sign and take your ass off your seat and go out there in the streets and protest in your damn land. I was over there in Nigeria. I walked the streets of Lagos, Abuja, and where was it that I was? It was Igbo land. I walked the streets and I saw what it was and I saw what it was like. And I talked to Nigerians, and part of the issue is that there is a docility that exists inside of the average Nigerian that I spoke to. Had a complacency and a docility that exists in there when it comes to their government. And then, right, the nerve of anyone to suggest that because of the type of trauma that you experience in your country, the type of brainwashing that you exist in your country is different than the type of trauma and brainwashing that we have existed in this country, that somehow that makes you better? No. Part of the reason that Nigeria looks the way that it is right now is because Europeans ran roughshod over that country. Europeans ran roughshod over Nigeria, took down your symbols and put up their own, implanted you with their religion, have you worshiping white skin. And then after they sucked and siphoned from the country enough, then they started implanting the leaders that they wanted who would fulfill their white supremacist agenda. And so now you have government officials who don't give a good goddamn about the average Nigerian, because they take their money and they put their money abroad and they leave you there without lights 24 hours a goddamn day. Meanwhile, they got lights. I've been to Banana Island. I see what rich Nigerians live like. Speaking of which, if I were to come to Nigeria with my American mindset, I would be rich in Nigeria, because I'm not from Nigeria and I don't have the same type of indoctrination that Nigerians have. So when you start trying to say that you will come over to America and do all this, that, and bravo, because you've been trained in a different way. If I went to listen, I was in Nigeria 3 weeks before I made it over to Banana Island. And when I spoke to one of my Nigerian friends, I didn't realize how difficult of a thing that is for the average Nigerian. So don't sit there and start talking about how you would do so much different. If anything, this is the time right now that we need to come together. Instead of being in your colonial programming and mindset, instead of that, release those shackles. Release those shackles and realize that what African Americans are doing and have done in this country is remarkable. It is revolutionary. We have changed this world, goddammit, because if it wasn't for African Americans, black people would still be in the goddamn zoo. No. So no, don't sit over there in some foreign land talking about what it is that you would do in America, because if you were born on this land entrenched in the funk and the foulness that exists on this land, you would be just as mentally enslaved, just as mentally entrained as the people who are here. So don't think that because your trauma is different than ours, that there's something better about your trauma. Because if anything, just the mere fact that you even dream, that you salivate of going to another land, shows and tells that there's something going on yours that needs to be fixed. So rather than going off and talking about all of the things that you would do in America, please do them in Nigeria. Fix your government. Rise up. Do whatever it is that you need to do on your land. Listen, we talked about this when I was in Nigeria. Monthly salary. What was the monthly salary when we talked? $150 per month? 150 US per month in Nigeria. I think the salary was $30 a week. I was at a hotel where I was spending $160 a day. That was half a month's pay for the man who took my money. Half a month's pay. This is not stuff that I am theorizing about. This is stuff that I have seen. So it's like, yes, people think that we complain and that we moan and bemoan. People think that we are dissatisfied and we're always complaining and we're harping and this, that, and other. That's because there's inequality. That's because there is an infringing on human rights. That's because there's a disparity that exists in this land. And so we speak up about it and we let our voices be heard. Does it get annoying for people to have to hear you complain over and over again? I'm sure it does get annoying, but it gets stuff done. People over here talking about the riots. Oh, people are paying attention though, right? Because how many people will sit silently as people march peacefully, but start damaging some stuff, and then now all of a sudden ears perk up. It's on the main news. It's broadcasted worldwide. So yes, listen, instead of sitting there salivating about what's going on and the opportunities that were created in other countries, listen, go do your damn research. It wasn't but 55 years ago that we integrated. Black people and white people could not be in the same spaces. They had funky, wretched, unclean bathrooms for us. Hot ass, dirty ass, lead-filled water for us. Meanwhile, refrigerated water for the white people. Clean bathrooms for the white people. Police to serve the white people. I mean, you still see how they're calling the police on us because they know, oh yeah, if I call the police on your black ass, they're going to believe me and not you. So if left up to the devices of the average white supremacists in this country there wouldn't be nothing for you to come over here for. There wouldn't be nothing for you to come over here to get or to gain, because your black ass would be segregated someplace with the police ready to bash in your goddamn African head at any chance that they get. Because ain't nothing, the only thing worse than an American nigga is a foreign nigga. Listen, I'm gonna get off of here.
I have a lot to say about this video, a lot to say, so let's get into it. When I first watched this video, I felt personally attacked. I felt personally attacked because she was so spot on about some of the things that she was talking about. Definitely, as African people, we have been put and pitted against each other with African Americans. The way we Africans have grown to see African Americans is lazy. We have grown to see them as ghetto, as not educated, as given everything that has been given to them. Like, these are people that do not work hard. These are people that benefit from the system. These are people who benefit from wealth care. These are people who rely on welfare, rely on support and services. These are lazy people who get abortion after abortion, or have multiple baby daddies, multiple baby mamas, have just a ghetto lifestyle. And I think racism, apartheid, whatever you want to call it, has worked perfectly. And it has worked very well because it has managed to put black people all over the world against each other. We have colorism. We have prejudice against other black people. So that is why we as black people, as Africans, as African Americans, as Afro-Latinos, whoever we are, when you see a black person and then you hear, oh, this is an African American, immediately you have a distaste in your mouth because you're like, oh no, African Americans don't work hard. They complain all the time. Like, they're prone to violence, or they're this. So we as Africans have been conditioned to look at African Americans in a certain way, and it's not a good way. And I'm sure African Americans have been programmed to look at Africans in a certain way, and it's not a good way either. Probably you've been conditioned to look at us as primitive people who are not educated, who stay out in the hot sun, going out and fighting lions every day, hungry with flies and poverty all over, have no access to internet, have no access to running water, have no access to clothes and stuff like that. Like, we're just running around naked, fighting wild animals. I'm sure that is what African Americans picture or have been conditioned to think the African or the average African is. And that's not what or who the average African is at all. So it's sad. It's sad because as an African, I definitely see we've adopted this mindset of being the token N-word. I'm not going to say the N-word, the full N-word, but we've become the token N-word. And I think we've inherited it from our parents. And our parents lived in the colonial days where everything had to be prim and proper. We got it from the British colonizers. So if you were a black person and you did things perfectly, you did things well, you did things according to the way the white man wanted you to do things, then you were applauded by the white man. You got the job, you got the education, and therefore you were able to further your family. You were able to further your bag. You were able to secure your bag. You were able to gain land and all sorts of things. And you were accepted into white spaces. And that trickled down to our generation. You have to be prim and proper. You have to be elegant. You have to be like this. Don't be loud. Don't be ghetto. Don't be ratchet, Don't be African American. That was always the advice. That was always the tone. That was always the implication. So when I watch a video like this, I'm like, wow. I think as Africans, we haven't really been given the full history, or we haven't been taught the full history of how African Americans really fought for their rights in the civil rights movement. And it hasn't been made to be something that was like revolutionary. I don't think we've taken it very seriously. I don't think it's something that we've taken too hard. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, there was Martin Luther King, yeah, okay. There was Malcolm X, okay. Yeah, the Selma March, yeah. There's Birmingham, okay. Yeah, the 60s. Okay, but we're tired of watching that, as Africans. I mean, as an African, I can speak for myself. That's what it feels like. It feels like Hollywood has made these movies become so, like, they just washed over or something. So the suffering and the civil rights movement is lost in the message. I personally, as an African, I'm just so tired of seeing the message of civil rights over and over again. It's like, okay, we get it. You fought for your rights. You fought for your rights. We get it. And now you are where you are. But I think the fact that we are constantly being compared against each other, and the fact that we Africans, we sit on this side of the world and we're like, sure, if I had the chance to go to America, the things that I would do if I were in America, you guys have no idea. Like, you guys have no idea what you people are missing out on, the opportunities that you are squandering. And it's very true what she says in the video. Why are you looking at my country and salivating? That means there is something very wrong with where you're coming from. And it's true. It's true. I'm in Kenya. Kenya is a third world country. Many days, many days, many years, I have sat down and obsessed about getting a chance to go to the US, getting a chance to go to Australia, getting a chance to go to the UK. I would go and live my best life, and most young people in my situation would do the same thing. I've seen a lot of young people, you gather all the means that you can, you get a visa and you go. Because Africa and most African countries are a sinking ship. Nobody wants to be in a sinking ship. Systems are not working. Governments are corrupt. Governments are bleeding us dry, stealing from us in broad daylight. And we as a people, we're so divided. We're so scatterbrained. We're so busy looking out for our own backs and for our own families and for our own resources that we'd rather jump ship than get together and say, hey, let's fight back and let's take back our country and let's run this country. Because we're scared of the accountability. We're scared of running this country. Who is going to run this country? You and me. Let me just go to the US. Let me just go to the US and do my nursing degree and become an RA nurse, and just feed my family from there and build a house from there. Yeah, and I'll be sending you guys money. Yeah. Ati me, I fight for my country and die. Yeah, I don't think so. Let me go to Australia. A lot of people have that mindset. And I think that's why I'm beginning to understand why South Africans are so mad with foreigners and why there's the issue of xenophobia in South Africa. For the longest time, I didn't understand it. I was like, sure, why are South Africans so xenophobic? And of course, it's not all South African. But when I go onto documentaries that are on xenophobia, about like the xenophobia that is happening in South Africa, and I go to the comments and I make a comment about how this is just incomprehensible and I don't understand why South Africans or some South Africans are so xenophobic, and I would get attacked by a lot of South Africans in the comments. And most would say, go back to your countries and build your countries, because you're trying to benefit of the well-being of our countries, and our system is it's overwhelmed. And I was like, the amount, obviously that's not a factual thing, the amount of immigrants that are coming to South Africa is not as high and cannot cause as much damage as the failures that are happening by the South African government. Like, that is not the fault of immigrants, illegal immigrants coming to South Africa. I don't believe that's the problem. No. But, a lot of South Africans, that's their mind view about xenophobia, and that's why they choose to be xenophobic. And so what the lady was saying as well was, go back to your own countries, go back to your own African countries, go back to Nigeria and fix your government. Pick up your signs and protest on the streets for your governments. And why aren't we doing this? Because it's hard. Why am I not in the streets of Kenya, of Nairobi right now, picketing against my government? The shilling right now is 160 shillings to $1. To $1. So the shilling is very weak right now. Very weak. Our economy is going through it. Our president is messing up royally. Can we have honest, open conversation like this in the open? No. As a Kenyan, there's this air of you're afraid to speak. You're afraid to speak out and speak politics and speak out the truth because you're afraid that you might be deleted from this world. You know, you might never be seen again. It's a very real threat to your life. And is it worth it? Like, would you die for your country? I don't know. 1. 2, as Black people, we know that we don't unite. We don't unite. African Americans, Africans even in Africa, wherever we are, we don't unite on issues. And this is the problem. We have been divided and we have been conquered. We have been divided by racism and we have been conquered. So wherever we're spread out to, we will never, ever come to one accord. We will never believe the same thing. Our value systems will never come to one basic belief system. And if we can't see eye to eye on certain values, then how are we supposed to have each other's backs? So as Kenyans, for example, if I were to stick my neck out and say, Kenyans, I'm really passionate about this. Let's take back our government, which is crazy talk. It's very serious talk to be saying that in Kenya, right? Or any African country, you know, they'll be looking at you like, who's this? So if you, as a Kenyan, start saying, let's take back our government, this is what we are entitled to. Let's make a beautiful or a great future for the next generation, so that the next generations, so that our children don't have to go to the US, they don't have to go to England, Australia to live a good life. They can enjoy life here at home. You start saying things like that, people will abandon you. People will abandon you. In your face, they'll say they'll support you, but people will abandon you. When things hit the fan, people will abandon you. And I guess now I'm beginning to understand also as well why South Africans are so, there's a similarity between South Africans, Black South Africans, and African Americans, and the way they look at the immigrant situation. Black South Africans fought for independence until 1994. That is 30 years ago. That's not long ago. So that spirit of fighting, that spirit of we will fight for blood, we will go until we get what we need and what we want and what we're entitled to in our own country, it's still in them. Kenya got independence in 1963. What does my generation know about blood, sweat, and tears, about fighting for our country for independence? What does my parents' generation know about that? They don't know nothing about that. All we know is how to be the token N-word, right? How to get a good education, study well, look prim and proper, and provide for your family and look out for yourselves. That's all we know. We don't know the revolutionary spirit. The only place that I disagree with her is when she talked about, oh yes, they gave you the white man religion. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. My God is Jesus. He was a Jew. Jesus was a Jew. Jesus was an Israelite. And a lot of people will argue, you see, that's how your mindset is so messed up. You see, you've adopted the colonial mindset, and so that discounts everything that you've talked about in this video because you believe in Jesus Christ. Well, you can say whatever you would like and you can come to your own conclusions. But for me, the maker and the creator of this world is Jesus Christ. That's just what I've found for myself and through the experiences of my life. And I won't, just because white people weaponized Christianity and weaponized religion. Yes, weaponized religion as a form of enslavement and stuff like that doesn't mean that Jesus Christ isn't the true God, isn't the true Lord and Savior. And that's all I'll have to say about that. Yeah. So I would really be interested to know what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments section below, because there are so many talking points. Follow me on socials. Until the next video. Goodbye.